Yes, very good morning to you. Welcome to the edge of the Zurich Sea. It's where I'm standing this morning, shimmering behind me, a city waking up after a dramatic and entertaining win for England last night. Sometimes a bit of a baffling night as well. Back in the studio in London, Charlie Adam, most recently set-piece coach at Everton, is with me this morning. Morning, Charlie.
Good morning. You okay?
Yeah, very good, thank
you. Your view looks amazing.
Do you know what? It's about 28 degrees here. The sun, beautiful, blue sky. It is absolutely glorious in Zurich this morning. Crookmeister is here as well. Last shift before yet another holiday. How are you, boyo?
Well, you can talk. You're supposed to be at work. Honestly, it's nice to see you without an Aperol Spritz in your hand for a change. Actually doing some work.
I only had my first Aperol Spritz, actually, yesterday, would you believe? That is a true story.
Did you like it?
Do you know what? I actually thought it was all right, yeah. I had a second one, so I must have thought it was okay.
No, you got it just to make sure.
You needed something stronger than when watching their penalties, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you might be right there. I mean, there is so much to unpack from last night, isn't there? And I want to get into it. You know, England still can win the tournament for a start. That's the big takeaway. The fact that they came back from what was, at one stage, almost an unassailable position. It felt as if Sweden were just going to march through to the semi-finals of the competition. I suppose needs to be sort of discussed. It was a great comeback, really. Brilliant subs, super resilience shown towards the end. But serious questions also need to be asked about the setup of the team and how they got themselves into that position in the first place. I mean, why did we take so long to make substitutions last night? Did the team that she picked actually, was it the right team? In my opinion, I think she should have changed it, but I think we all know that Serena Wiegman is not going to do that. To me, I thought that they looked as if they weren't adequately prepared for the penalty shootout. And Charlie, look, we all know that the pressure and the scrutiny of a penalty shootout changes your mindset. I spoke to Juan Mata after the 2012 European Championship final. They'd done so much work on what they were going to do if it went to penalties, and then when he got there, his legs went to jelly. The FA have done loads of research on penalty technique, penalty taking, the build-up to taking penalties. But, you know, what was that down to last night? 9 penalties out of 14 failed to hit the back of the net. Is that tiredness? Is that lack of preparation? Is it nerves? What was your view?
I think there was a lot into it. The quality of the penalty as well wasn't great. So again, there's a lot that goes into it. Technique was something that was there, but there is, you know, in terms of, you know, nerves and the moments. But again, when you're an international player, you are the best in your group, and you should be able to handle that moment. But I just thought it was erratic. It was too much quickness to what England were doing, and I think Beth Mead's penalty, she was up and she took it straight away, and the goalkeeper made that decision. So a lot goes into it. But again, the resilience I would go back to in terms of coming from 2 goals behind to get to that situation when you're down and out, shows that there's a real good team spirit and togetherness within the group. The manager's obviously getting a bit of flack in terms of we think we need to change it earlier and whatever, but as a coach, you feel the game, and there's moments, even when you're losing, you still feel that the team can change, and there's always a moment within the game that can change that. And you know, she got it right, and you know, ultimately the penalties were not at the quality and the standard that you would expect from international players, but they're through. They're in a semi-final, like Alex says. You'd expect England now to beat Italy and have a showdown with Spain in the final, and it'll be an unbelievable final, because at the moment, let's say, obviously Arsenal beat Barcelona in the Women's Champions League, so the quality will be there, and you know, it'll be an interesting game. But it's always an aftermath of that result and that performance, but they got the job done in the end.
I think that's the key thing, though. The takeaway is that actually there is a semi-final still to look forward to. So ultimately, Serena Wiegman got it right, because she stuck with the players, then made the substitutions. Chloe Kelly made an absolutely brilliant impact coming on, creating 2 goals pretty much, and turning the game around in 103 seconds. And Serena Wiegman will probably maintain that this team will get better as the tournament goes on. And tournament football is about winning, right, and getting through. But they're not going to beat Spain unless they sharpen up in front of goal, and certainly sharpen up at the back.
No, I mean, defensively, it was a shambles, particularly in that first half. And it does, I think, bear some similarities with the men's Euros. England sort of limped to the final. then found themselves on a collision course with far and away the best team in the tournament in Spain, and maybe history will be repeated because, as Charlie said there, I do expect England to come through against Italy. I think Sweden was a tougher test in many ways, but I still go back to the sort of situation before the squad announcement. Obviously, no Mary Earps, and Hannah Hampton, her confidence will be boosted by the fact she saved a penalty in a shootout at her first major tournament, but you still wonder if Mary Earps, in terms of leadership, could have played a role in that dressing room, and the same for Millie Bright as well, because, of course, Leah Williamson has come off. She seemed to have ice on her foot. Will she be fit for the semi-final? And then, as Charlie's mentioned, just the sort of panic as England stepped up for those penalties. Someone like Beth Mead, for example, surely has enough experience just to give herself some pause and wait for the goalkeeper to commit, because the goalkeeper was committing early on the penalties. If you'd just taken a breath and waited, then I think it would have been a lot easier of a shootout.
Well, it's something that Lucy Bronze spoke about after the game. She said, I watched the penalties, I could see that the goalkeeper committed, and I knew that if I hit it high and hard, there was a low percentage chance of her being able to stop it. And actually, that penalty was thunderous, and you could see the attitude that she displayed when she was walking up to the ball. It was ripping off that strapping on her right thigh. I'm going to hit this, and you're going to have to do something to try and stop it. And obviously, that was a forlorn task because she caught it so beautifully. But elsewhere in the game, I just wonder whether or not the idea that you've come through a situation like that, Charlie, means that it changes your mindset. Because if you go back over the performances so far, they weren't particularly good against France. They got the job done against the Netherlands, which was a much, much better performance. They played a Wales team, which they would be expected to beat, albeit they beat them well. And then they've run into Sweden, who are a good team, and I don't think they should be underestimated. They finished third at the last two World Cups, so you should appreciate their quality. But actually, England are yet to sort of find their rhythm. Does this incident, does this sort of experience change the mindset?
No, I think it does. I think it'll give everybody today, the girls that have played and maybe the girls that have not played will do a different session, but they'll get together tonight, maybe before dinner, and mull over what they think and how they're going to get better and how they're going to improve. That's why Serena Wiegman has won the last two major European tournaments. So she's a top coach, and she needs to galvanise the group. But ultimately, the players have to take responsibility as well and what they're doing. There looks like there's a good togetherness, which is important. And, there's another game. They're still in the tournament. They'll know that they've not played to the level they expect. But, that result last night and that desire and that attitude to come back from 2-0 down might just be a switch for them to go forward to this semi-final and then looking at possibly the final as well. But the next game's most important, and this Italy game will be a tough game. They'll semi-final, anything can happen, but England will need to be on their best to definitely get through.
I think what it has done last night, just the chaos of the penalties, has captured the imagination of maybe people who weren't necessarily tuning in to the tournament. I had a lot of messages from people who tuned in just for the penalty shootout. Okay, some were deriding the comical nature of it, but it was certainly dramatic. And if England do go on and reach the final and maybe even retain their trophy, then I think that's probably the game that everyone's going to be talking about.
Well, I'd love to see the overnight figures of how many people watched it last night, but bearing in mind that when ITV had the game at the weekend, I think it was 3.9 million. I think the Netherlands game was a huge figure as well. There are people watching it. There's a lot of people that have got eyeballs on it.
Sam, I think let's from the outside, the game's growing. It is growing. Winning tournaments will always help. The game is growing. We've seen now, I think, highest record bid in English football in terms of over £1 million recently. The game is growing, but it takes time to grow. It doesn't just happen overnight. The men's game's been around for so long, and it's still evolving all the time now. So the women's game's come quickly, and it's come sharp. So what will happen in the next 10, 15 years, we don't know. But at the moment, the game is growing rapidly in this country, and it has to improve. And let's say, to get to back-to-back tournament finals would be incredible for England as a national team, and they'll take learnings from that, of course.
And you want that drama along the way. You don't want 6-1 victories against Wales, really. You want tight games against the top teams in the world, as you just mentioned, with Sweden's rating. And I think there were 15 games unbeaten going
15
into
games. They
last
hadn't lost
night.
actually since the 12th of July last year when they lost to France in qualifying for this tournament, and they've been on a brilliant run. And actually, do you know what? I saw them the other week against Germany. I was in the game actually in that stadium, the Letzigrund Stadium, on Saturday night when they beat Germany. They beat Germany 4-1. They were absolutely superb that night as well. So they'll be majorly disappointed to go out, because when you're leading 2-0 against the reigning champions, you don't see it out because of two quick goals like that. And you had two chances to win it in the penalty shootout as well. Volk could have won it. Jakobsen should have scored her penalty. I mean, they should have really knocked England out last night, and they'll be kicking themselves this morning. But England will be celebrating, and of course they roll on to Geneva, where they'll play Italy in the semi-final. They can't take anything for granted. They hope to be in the final, which we expect to be against Spain or France or possibly Germany, although I'm not convinced by them so far in the tournament. When it gets to next Sunday in 10 days' time, it's all going to be live on talkSPORT, including tonight's game between Spain and Switzerland. They haven't even got through a quarter-final yet, so we'll see what happens.